Hi, everyone. My name is Mickey Dick, and I am an integrated health scholar graduating in May 2021. I was placed at Douglas County Visiting Nurses Association in Lawrence, Kansas, and I engaged in the end of life doula program. Since graduating from KU in 2003, I've been working as a social worker with aging folks in Douglas County, primarily Lawrence area, but also in the rural areas surrounding. For the last 7 years, I've been a hospice social worker, and in that experience, I have really noticed how many people do not engage in end of life discussions. And so a lot of times folks will come to us in their last days and hours, and their families have no idea what their end of life wishes are. And it's a pretty traumatic time and pretty crisis filled. So I'm pretty passionate about engaging individuals in those conversations sooner and trying to talk about end of life wishes with folks so that they can have a choice and make their own decisions before their families have to guess at what their wishes might be. So you might be asking, what is an end of life doula? Doula services are oftentimes associated with the birthing process. You've probably heard of a doula or a midwife that helps with that birthing process. But an end of life doula helps with the end of life planning process and the dying process. That does not mean that an end of life doula helps someone to die. That is not what the program is about. End of life doulas provide non-medical support to the dying person and their family from initial diagnosis or of chronic illness throughout their end of life journey. So how can an end of life doula help? As you can see on the graphic in the center of my poster, an end of life doula can do many things in order to help individuals prepare for their end of life and think about that and can walk through them with them through that process. So they can help with advanced directives, talking about what their wishes might be for medical care. Do they want intubation? Do they want IVs? Do they want resuscitation? There are forms that can be witnessed and filled out to choose an agent or someone who would make decisions for you if you weren't able to do that, a power of attorney for healthcare. End of life doulas can help with funeral planning and final wishes, talking to folks about what they want. Do they want a traditional burial? Do they want cremation? Would they like to have a funeral service in a church, or would they like to not have any services at all? Sometimes it's very helpful to families to know what that person would want instead of after they pass away having to try to make those decisions without any guidance. So an end of life doula can help the person with the illness think about these things and then also talk with their family members about them. Sometimes the conversations and the communication can be really, really hard. They can help with spiritual care. Some people are very, very religious, and some people are not at all and are much more spiritually connected or don't believe in anything. And it's not the doula's role to judge where someone should be. It's to have the conversation to start that person thinking about how they feel about end of life and what comes next. And if they have any concerns about that, help talk them through that and maybe even connect them with other resources, clergy, or other, religious help if they need it. An end of life doula provides a lot of active listening, engaging in life review, helping to process when people come to the end of their lives. A lot of times they look back on their life and go through each stage and each step and really remember the important things from their lives. In doing this, they often want to leave a legacy, and a doula can help them with this. Some people like to write stories down, and the doula can help them write those down or get those things in order. They can also help gather pictures, create a family tree or a genealogy, whatever might be on the older person's mind or the dying person's mind. Might be someone who's young too, that is processing that their end of life is coming soon. An end of life doula can help also with caregiving support and more hands-on care. They can help connect with community resources, if they need attendant care or other options for help. And they can also provide hands-on vigil, sitting with someone during their end of life process. And usually that's in the last days to hours. And they can sit at bedside with the person, they can be with family to provide support. Basically, it's just this extra supportive person around who kind of understands the process and what's going on. An end of life doula can also provide bereavement support, and that is during in anticipation of the loss, but also afterwards for families who, kind of are grieving pretty significantly. So, an end of life doula is so important because in our society, no one talks about death. It's very taboo, and it causes any topic that we don't talk about seems to be topics that cause a lot of fear and anxiety. And the purpose of this program is to normalize death, to talk about that end of life process and what to expect, and help walk people through that journey so that it's less scary. And social workers, I think it's important that they know that end of life doulas exist, because social workers often come into a person's life for a short period of time, and having someone who has a chronic illness and being able to refer to a doula to walk through that process with them before that individual may be ready for hospice, or maybe that individual isn't ready for hospice ever, they still have someone who can help walk them through that process. And that's something that's really great. The end of life doula, being non medical, oftentimes will coordinate with medical services, with hospice teams, with medical social workers in order to provide the best support for people at their end of life. And the end of life doula program at VNA, it's covered. It's totally free. A lot of doula programs are fee for service. Insurance doesn't often cover that, but through VNA, being able to provide that program for free is pretty great. I am so thankful and want to acknowledge the hospice manager, Monica Rose at VNA, for giving me the opportunity to take this course and actually become a certified end of life doula. It was through IAP College online, and I'm actually a certified EOLD now. And that's pretty cool to be able to add those letters at the end of my name. So I'm very thankful for Monica and for the whole social work team at VNA for being so supportive of me throughout my placement there. Also, want to thank the Integrated Health Scholars Program for this wonderful learning opportunity. It's been a really, really great educational experience for me. So I hope you all learned something, and thanks for listening.